Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. This is a long overdue promised playthrough of Broken Sword 5 for my good friend Shas. What I'm going to be doing today is trying to describe what I see as it happens. So if you're just a sighted viewer who is looking for like just a regular playthrough of this game, maybe click off and go and look for a playthrough that's perhaps a little bit less descriptive. I'm going to try and describe what happens as it happens. Some of the introduction and cutscenes are pretty sort of frantic, so what I will try to do is let them happen. I'll give some description of what's happening as they happen, and then when we get to a quieter point I will try and sort of describe what's happened. But really this is aimed at my viewers who are partially sighted or visually impaired. And all that there. So hopefully that's understood. So let's click new game here. No, we don't need to place the tutorial. Hopefully the sound balance is right. I did do this once already and found that the sound balance was a little bit off because of some of the game is quite actually loud. But let's go through. I will describe what I see as well as I can, but when there's a lot of dialogue happening, it doesn't do well for me to speak over it. So once it has happened, I will then try and describe what transpired. So with all that understood, sorry to ramble, let's go and start a new game. But the serpent was wiser than all the animals that were in paradise, and God cursed the serpent and called him devil. And he said, Behold, Adam has become like one of us, knowing evil from good, which is the testimony of truth, from the Gnostic Gospel, circa 100 AD. And battle not with monsters, lest ye become a monster. And if you gaze into the abyss, the abyss also gazes into you, from Friedrich Nietzsche. So a couple of quotes there to start the game. This is directed by the magnanimous Charles Cecil, which is showing on the screen. Now opens up with the title, Broken Sword 5, The Serpent's Curse, and shows an eagle at the top of a mountain, getting ready to fly away over a mountain range with trees and undergrowth, and soars down, swoops down into the valley, which then shows us the beautiful rolling Catalonian countryside with a car meandering its way through the road, and the text says Catalonia, Spain, 1937. And the car drive towards what looks like a sort of a Spanish or Catalonian villa, where there are soldiers outside firing into the house, and the residents of the house are returning fire towards the soldiers. A father is giving books to a young boy to take, presumably towards a car located at the back of the house.
We must go now. Papa!
Tiago, go with your mother to the trap. Take this. It will always be your guide.
And the father has given a necklace with a shining red jewel in the middle of it to the child.
The painting.
And the father takes a painting from the wall. Car drives up to the house.
This way.
And the soldiers have shot both of the men, the father and his adjutant, and the car with the kid and the mother in it drives away from the rear of the house.
Senor, in here.
A very shifty looking figure enters in a suit and a hat. And they find the painting.
Of course.
Now we're in Paris on a present day, and the painting hangs on the wall of an art gallery.
Paris in the spring. Passion, romance, l'amour. I was working in art insurance. It paid the rent, just about. And then, by chance, I met Nico at a private view.
You didn't tell me that you were back in Paris, George.
We should catch up. Let's have lunch. Lovely move. monsieur, not la malédiction. Oh.
Stay back.
Once again, Paris had shown me her dark side. A brutal robbery, a senseless murder. Nico and I were about to be drawn into a new and terrifying adventure together. The gallery owner was dead. I guess sometimes playing the hero doesn't pay. My company had insured the exhibition, so I had a crime to solve. The cops would be here soon. I didn't have much time.
Right, so as I said, we're in Paris on the present day. What just happened should have been relatively obvious, but Nico and George were in an art gallery that's got some other people in it that I'll talk about in a moment. They were talking, catching up, when in burst a motorcyclist with a motorcycle helmet on with a pizza box, and inside the pizza box he had a gun. He threatened everybody and then made his way over to the painting, which was from the previous the intro. And stole it. The art gallery owner tried to stop the robber, and he was shot and apparently killed. So let's describe the surroundings first and foremost. So it seems to be a relatively kind of bohemian, small art gallery, the type of which you'd see on the streets of Paris. At the window, you can see out, it seems to be situated on a hill, where you can see out towards the urban sprawl of Paris. Of course, the Eiffel Tower is clearly visible off in the distance. Within the art gallery itself, there's a wooden floor. The walls are sort of a beige brick sort of colour tone. And there are various pictures, dotted around on the walls, as you would expect, as well as things like sculptures, and the such like. It seems to be some kind of event because there are open champagne bottles everywhere. Some of the glasses are broken. Let's just walk over here to the other side. There's a security camera, which seems to have been pointed at the empty space on the wall where the painting that was taken was. The empty pizza box that the robber brought in with him, from which he produced his gun, is located on the table. Nico ran off after the robber, so it's now just our hero George, situated in the art gallery. There's a very large portly man called Lane. Now, fans of the series will remember Lane from Broken Sword 2, who was also, when we encountered him in that game, was also in an art gallery. He was a very famous art critic, a very obnoxious fellow. So he's a recurring character. Unfortunately, I do believe he's British. Very obnoxious, up his own backside type of person, the type of which you'd expect as an art critic. The gallery owner is a relatively wiry man called Henri, with a very strange dress sense. He's got like a red shirt on with a flowery waistcoat and red, what looked like Chuck Taylor's Converse, glasses, and a bit of a goatee beard. But I guess the last thing he needs to worry about now is his fashion sense. And stood over him, or knelt over him, I should say, it's a priest who is presumably delivering the last rites to a dying man. So hopefully that sets out the scene that we have before us. There's loads of things to investigate and look at. So I guess the first thing to do is to talk to the priest who is now over the body of the gallery owner, and we'll see what he's got to say. So let's have a look at him first.
The priest was administering the last rites.
Ah.
Excuse me, Father. Yes, my son. I'm George Stobart. My company insured the exhibition.
My name is Simeon.
Is there anything I can do?
You can pray for his soul.
A senseless murder.
On the contrary, this killing makes plenty of sense.
What do you mean?
A great evil has taken place. This is the work of the devil.
What?
I am a Dominican priest. I know these things. And now, excuse me, I must pray.
1 minute I'd been planning dinner with Nico. The next I was talking art theft, murder, and the devil with a priest.
So, The priest has gone to the front of the gallery and sat down, looking very anxious, wringing his hands with his rosary, clearly distressed from the occurrences that have just happened. So let's take a look at Henri's body. There's a magnifying glass when we hover over it, which means we can investigate. So let's go and have a look and see what we can find. So, as I mentioned before, the guy's laid out, sprawled out on the floor. There's something sticking out of his waistcoat pocket, and there seems to be something under his hand. So, let's take a look. And we can also examine the gunshot wound as well. So, let's do that first. It looks like it's a pretty good shot, to be fair. It looks like it went straight through the heart. So,
There was no way anyone would have survived that. I didn't want Henri's blood on my hands.
So we can't do anything with that. We can just examine it, but it's obviously a fatal, a lethal injury, clearly.
Poor guy. Poor guy.
Okay, we get it. He's a poor guy. Let's see what this is in his pocket. It's labelled eau de toilette, which basically means aftershave or cologne for anybody from the other side of the pond.
A small purple nozzle was poking out of his pocket.
So let's pick that up.
In Henri's pocket was a tiny bottle. It was a bottle of Brett. The label claimed it would wake the beast within.
Very nice marketing spiel there. Let's see what this is under his hand. He's holding something. Let's see what it is. It says crumpled note when we hover over it.
There was a small piece of paper in the dead man's hand. It was too intriguing not to take a look. It read, 2:30 p.m. Be ready.
Ooh.
Innocent enough, until I realized that the robbery took place at 2:30 p.m. There was something fishy going on around here, and it wasn't just the canapes. I quickly replaced the note.
Let's have a look at his glasses.
I always wondered who bought those white framed glasses. Now I knew. He definitely looked better.
So we can adjust the glasses were kind of wonky and not sat right on his face, so we've put them back on.
I put the glasses back where they were. Best to leave the evidence the way I found it.
Okay, so it seems like you can mess around with that in perpetuity, but I don't think that there's any particular benefit to doing so. So I think we've seen everything from the dead body here. There's nothing else for us to examine, so let's exit out of this screen.
A note in a bottle of overpowering cologne. No personal effects or anything else of substance. I needed to find where he kept his records.
So, we've examined the body, we've spoken to the priest. Let's go and have a look at our friend Lane. So, Lane has seemingly passed out with shock. He's sort of sat on the floor in a bit of a sort of a sweaty mess, snoring it seems, but it would be difficult to tell if you hadn't just seen what had occurred, whether or not he was just asleep or unconscious. But let's have a look at him first.
There was no mistaking this body. It was Hector Lane, art critic extraordinaire. He and I had met before.
Yes, we have. So we know Lane from Broken Sword 2, and possibly some of the other ones. I can't really remember. Possibly he might have appeared in one of the other preceding titles. I can't really remember. But let's see if we can go and have a closer look at him.
For a moment, I thought he was dead. But from the snoring, I guessed he'd only fainted.
Oh, this sounds very familiar. So, let's try and wake him up.
Lane had fainted. I was going to have to find a way to revive him.
So he's a very heavy-set individual, shall we say, which is a polite way of saying, well, I think you know. Let's see what we can do.
Lane was out cold. I was going to need something to bring him around.
Let's have a quick look inside his jacket and see if there's anything in there that we can fiddle with.
Lane had fainted. I was going to have to find a way to revive him. Lane was out cold. I was going to need something to bring him around.
Okay, we know that. So, we need to find something to wake him up with. Now, what do we have in our bag so far? Well, I have a cell phone, and I have this eau de toilette, which is apparently intended one of its marketing taglines is to quote unquote wake the beast within. So it would seem to be relatively obvious at this early stage of the game that we would perhaps waft this under his nose and it might wake him up. So let's give that a try.
Time to awaken the beast. What?
Just like that. Up he gets. Well, he seems to have dropped something.
What was that? It smells like the 70s. Where am I? You fainted.
Okay, so Lane is up and about. So before we start talking to him, let's see what this is he's dropped on the floor.
There was a pair of nail clippers on the floor. The nail clippers were monogrammed with the letters HL. Hector Lane. They must have fallen out of his pocket.
So in true George Stobart fashion, nothing is ever, beyond us when it comes to picking up junk. And therefore, we've picked up those nail clippers and they're now in our possession. Now, while we're looking on the floor, there also seems to be something, a small red spot which is labelled chewing gum. So let's have a look at that.
It was a blob of chewed gum. It was a blob of chewed gum.
Okay, I heard you the first time. Let's have a quick look at this pizza box.
The murderer left a pizza box on the table.
So this is where he got his gun from. So let's go and have a look at that.
The thief left the pizza box behind. I wondered what was in it. Well, no surprise there. Pizza. The guy must have been hungry. There was only one slice left.
So we can pick the pizza box up. So let's do that. Oh. It's fell to the ground. But we have taken the pizza slice, so we have that now.
No one had noticed the pizza box fall onto the floor. I decided to leave it alone.
Well, that surprises me, considering it happened about half a foot away from the priest. But he says we're going to leave it alone, so we'll leave it alone. Let's have a... Before we get talking to the characters in more depth, let's have a quick look around at some of the paintings that are on the wall and try and flesh out the scene a little bit. So there's a poster on the wall on the left-hand side of the door. Let's take a look at that.
The poster looked old. I didn't want to touch it. The poster looked old.
Okay, we got that the first time.
55,000. Huh, shame. Just outside my price range.
So we're just going to look at some of the various paintings here on the walls and stuff, and try and get a bit of a better feeling for the surroundings.
All I needed was a mere 65,000, and this little gem could be mine. 70 grand? Ah, cheap at half the price.
So typically, as someone who works in insurance, George seems to be mostly concerned with the cost of the things, the paintings and the art, rather than what they're actually depicting. There's a very, what should we say, alluring-looking bust of a attractive lady. Let's have a look at that.
That bust was pretty impressive. I wondered who'd been the model.
Yeah, I think we're all wondering that, George.
The bust was balanced precariously on the pedestal. I didn't want to knock it off.
Well, if I know this game, I know that precariously means we're probably supposed to do something with it. But let's keep looking round. Let's look at this painting here above the bust.
For the discerning connoisseur, a soupçon at 80,000.
A soupçon. You don't hear that word very often, do you? A soupçon.
Just 90,000 for this one. The label said it was painted in 1932. The gallery wanted 80 grand for it.
So over towards the left-hand side of the gallery, there is an empty space on the wall where the painting was. Clearly behind the painting, there's some form of security device that looks like it was... well, let's have a look at it and see what this is supposed to do.
This was where the stolen painting had hung. Why that painting? And why kill for it? The stolen painting had an alarm, which should have sounded when the painting was removed. I needed to find out why it hadn't.
So what we're looking at is the brick wall, which has what seems to be a security device that it has 4 pressure pads attached to it. So the security device itself is set into the brick of the wall with 4 these pressure pads at, let's say, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 11 o'clock in terms of their orientation. It has a small door in the middle of the device. It has a test button and a speaker. So let's try and open the little door first and foremost, which reveals a bunch of circuitry, and inside that circuitry we can see that one of the wires has been cut. So let's have a look at that.
So that was why the alarm hadn't sounded. A wire had been cut by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. This was an inside job.
So there's also a test button. So if presumably if we press that test button, the alarm is not going to go off.
The button bypassed the pressure pad system. Cutting the wire had disabled the pads.
Well, there you go. So the test button does still work. So that alarm should have gone off when the painting was removed, but it didn't.
It was a vibration detector pad.
So we know that this alarm has been sabotaged, and that adds to what we've already discovered from the note that was in the dead man's hand, which said, be ready at 2:30 p.m. And as George has already very astutely pointed out, this is all pointing towards something of an inside job. So we can exit from there, I believe. The only other thing to look at, I think, in here of note is that there is a door pointing towards... excuse me, there's a door with a code key, or a code pad, I should say, that leads presumably to an office of some description. Let's have a look at this.
The door was marked private. The door was locked with a keypad. The wires from the camera ran into the room behind. It must have captured the whole robbery. If I could get the code to the keypad, I might be able to shed some light on the crime.
Right, so we've got a job to do. We need the code to that door. So let's go back over here, and we'll do some more discussion with Lane and Father Simeon and see if we can get some information out of them. So let's start with, get the hardest part out of the way first and talk to our esteemed friend Mr. Lane.
Welcome back to the land of the living. I wouldn't exactly call this living. Don't just stand there. Get me something to eat. I've had a terrible shock, you know.
So he wants something to eat. So what do we have? Let's see. Let's have a little look in our little magic bag here. And we have this mangy old slice of pizza that was in the gunman's box. So let's see if we can drag and drop this onto our friend Lane here.
I found a slice of pizza. I asked for food, boy, not a cardboard simulacrum. Oh, okay, if you don't want it. I didn't say that. Now give it here.
And he just gobbles the whole thing up.
Circumstances, that was surprisingly acceptable. Now, what's been going on? Oh, Henri, is he dead? Afraid so. Poor chap. Just like him to steal the limelight, though.
Okay.
Excuse me. Do I know you? Yes, our paths have crossed in the Glees Gallery. Of course, the man with the absinthe. I don't suppose you... afraid not. Pity. I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble remembering your name. I'm George Stobart. I insured the exhibition. I hope you have deep pockets then, my boy. Could I ask you a few questions, Mr. Lane? Fire away.
Okay, so as will people who've played the second game or have seen the second game played, will remember that Lane was a sort of a blocker to progression in the second game. and he was also in an art gallery. And the reason why he mentioned absinthe was because the way to get past him was to get him drunk by giving him absinthe laced wine. That he was drinking at this art gallery. He was very critical of the wine that was being served, so George had to mix some of this absinthe, which is notoriously strong spirit, and he got so drunk he fell over and passed out, and we could get past him at that point. So that explains that little exchange there. So now we're at the point where we can ask Lane about certain aspects of what's occurred. So let's start by talking about the gallery itself.
So, what brings you to Le Lézard Bleu, Mr. Lane?
Dear boy, without me, this show would not exist. Henri, rest his soul, may have run this gallery, but I am its creative powerhouse.
If Lane was involved with the gallery, then he had to know the code to that door.
Okay, let's ask him about the gallery owner, Henri, or the former gallery owner, I should say.
How long had you known Henri?
As a friend, many years. Our professional relationship had only recently blossomed into this exhibition under my curatorial wing. And now the poor fellow has gone and got himself killed.
Okay, let's ask him about the theft itself.
Do you know anything about the stolen painting?
Of course, dear boy. La Maledictio, a little-known work, turned up at the last minute.
What about the killer? Were you able to get a look at him?
A delinquent in a tin hat. Beyond that, I don't really recall.
Oh, yeah, you fainted.
Those of us with a higher aesthetic are more sensitive to violence.
A delinquent in a tin hat. That's a great way to describe motorcyclists, just like myself. So I'll have to remember that one. So this has opened up a few more conversational aspects about the painting itself. So let's talk about and learn about La Maledizio.
What can you tell me about the stolen painting?
La Maledictio, a challenging piece. If you like a wide cast of obscure saints and fringe Christian symbolism, of course. Not especially valuable, though. The thief won't get much for it on the black market.
Who painted the stolen painting?
Therein lies a mystery. We only know his pseudonym, El Serp. He was a Catalan, a modernist. His works are symbolic, religious.
Okay, so that's all we're going to get out of him, reference the painting. Let's see if he knows anything about this keypad.
So, you help run this place? Maybe you can give me the code to that door.
The code to the office?
I just thought you might have the number.
I do, but I couldn't possibly give you access before the police arrive.
I figured I wasn't going to get the door code from Lane by playing nice. I needed to turn the heat up. Mr. Lane, you're really going to have to give me the code to that door.
And why, pray, should I do that?
Because the way the cops will see it, you're the prime suspect. We both know you're innocent, Mr. Lane, but the cops, well, they may not see things so simply. I might be able to get them off your case, but in exchange, I'd like the code for the office door.
But that's preposterous. The police would have neither evidence nor motive.
Funny you should mention that.
So obviously now we're trying to influence Lane to give us this code. So it's opened up some more conversational, topics for us to discuss. So let's ask him about his movements.
This is an inside job for sure, Mr. Lane. The police are going to be very interested in your recent movements.
I've been out of town for several days, and last night I retired early.
Just saying.
You're not going to scare me into giving you that door code, you know.
I was onto something here, and I knew it. Lane was sweating. It wasn't pretty.
So let's keep tapping away at him.
Don't suppose you've changed your mind about giving me that door code?
Certainly not. Give me one good reason why I should.
I might just do that, Mr. Lane.
Let's ask him about the cut wire.
Someone sabotaged the alarm on the stolen painting. A wire was cut.
What? Who could have got into the alarm system?
Exactly. It was an inside job, Mr. Lane.
You're not suggesting that I...
Well, I'm afraid that's the way the cops are going to see it.
That's preposterous. How could I possibly have cut the wire?
I hate to say this, Mr. Lane, but you're going to be the #1 suspect for this murder.
So you keep saying, Mr. Stobart.
He's not budging, is he? He's not budging.
Mr. Lane, this robbery is not going to reflect well on you.
As I said, I shall take my chances. You're not getting that door code.
So I think the headline here really is that we're going to have to do something to persuade him that he needs to give us the code. And just talking to him doesn't really seem to be doing it. We'll try one more time.
So you'd been out of town and hit the sack early last night?
That's right. I've not been near the gallery for days.
Okay. So we can talk to him about this eau de toilette and these nail clippers, but I don't think they're really going to move the needle that much. So let's just exit this conversation and try talking to the priest and see what he's saying, because he's sat there looking very anxious, wringing his hands. Let's see if he can shed a bit more light on what's going on.
Father?
Yes, my son.
So let's start with the exhibition itself.
What brought you to the exhibition, Father?
The painting.
Which one?
La Maledictio, of course.
The painting that was stolen.
I had to confront the evil.
Okay, we've got loads of topics to talk about here, so we could be here a while. Let's continue going down that path with the painting itself. Find out why he's so scared of it.
Tell me about the stolen painting.
Whoever gets close to it will burn in hell.
What do you know about the man who painted La Maledictio?
El Serp. He was a man playing with fire. The fire of eternal damnation.
Well, very dramatic, but not particularly informative. Let's see what he knows about the gallery owner.
Did Henri say anything before he died?
He said, "Stop the car, I want to get in."
What does that mean?
We may never know.
Let's see what he says about this evil that he's talking about.
What did you mean when you said that a great evil had taken place?
Your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour.
What?
Peter 5:8. The devil is all around, Mr. Stobart.
Conspiracy? Let's see what he says about this.
I think there's something strange going on here.
Yes, Mr. Stobart. At last you see the truth.
No, Father, I mean that the robbery looks like an inside job.
The devil's work is always an inside job.
The cut wire.
A wire in the painting's alarm was deliberately cut.
Cut by the devil himself, perhaps.
Well, as far as I know, sightings of guys with horns and tails have been a little down recently.
You mock me, Mr. Stobart. But as you will discover, the devil likes to have the last laugh.
Well, that was very facetious, wasn't it, from George there, to be fair. Let's try see if he knows anything about this keypad, because we're not getting any change out of Lane at the moment, are we, on the topic?
Do you know the code to get into the office?
No, but you could always pray and ask for divine guidance.
With respect, Father, I'm looking for a slightly quicker solution.
Might as well do the lot. Let's do the aftershave and the nail clippers.
Hey, Father, how about a squirt?
I think not.
What sort of thing is that to say of to a man of the cloth?
Do you recognize these?
Nail clippers? I'm not sure what your point is.
So that's exhausted all of our conversational options with him, at least for now. But he does look a bit calmer. He's not wringing his hands as much. So maybe we've chilled him out a little bit. So let's go back to this pizza box and see if there's something we can do with this. It's sat on the floor at the moment.
I decided to leave it alone.
Okay, so we can't do anything with that. So we're at something of an impasse at the moment on the basis of the fact that we can't get into the door. And Lane's not giving up the code. Let's go right over here to the left. Take a quick look at this CCTV camera.
The cable for the camera ran into the room marked private. The cable for the camera...
Okay, we heard you when you said that. Right, we are going to need to call in some outside help, I believe. Now, inside our little magic bag of tricks here, we have one of these fantastic little shiny boxes of doom, which is a telephone. So let's pick that up and see who we can call. So we can call Nico, or we can call Rickenbacker, which is, from memory, I believe, is George's boss. So let's try Nico first. She went disappearing off down the hill after the motorcyclist. So let's try that first.
Nico wasn't answering her phone. No surprise.
Yep, no dice there. So let's try Mr. Rickenbacker.
Hello, Mr. Rickenbacker?
Stobart, what do you want?
Mr. Rickenbacker, there's been a problem.
Why does that surprise me? This better not involve the Blue Lizard.
Afraid it does, sir. There's been a robbery.
Oh, terrific.
Only one painting was stolen, though.
Well, what are you wasting time talking to me for? Find that painting, or find a way to avoid paying out. Two ways to keep your job, Stobart.
I see. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Anything else you gotta tell me?
The thief had a gun. He shot the gallery owner dead.
We insured him too?
No, sir.
Well, that's one piece of good news. At least tell me you got some leads.
So we've got options here to tell him about La Maledizio, the painting itself, or sabotage. So given the context, it would seem to be most sensible to tell him about the sabotage, wouldn't it?
I'm pretty sure the security was sabotaged. The alarm was disabled for that one painting.
So, it was an inside job. Who else is at the gallery?
So we can tell him about Lane or Father Simeon, which again, using relatively obvious common sense, would seem to be more sensible to tell him about Lane, given that Lane is the one that we want to put pressure on.
There's a guy called Hector Lane.
Lane. Why does that name sound familiar?
He's an art critic. I think he's connected to the exhibition.
Now, could it be him?
So we can say yes or no, but again, given context, we want to apply pressure to him, so let's say yes, even though that's probably not the case. But I think we need to find some way to make him sweat. So
Well, he's rude and ugly. It's certainly possible.
So squeeze him, Stobart. Squeeze him till he squeals.
If I was going to squeeze Lane, I needed longer arms than these.
Find out who disabled the security system, then find that painting. And don't call back until you have.
well, he sounds like a bag of laughs, doesn't he? So let's go back and talk to Lane and see if we can get some more change out of him.
Changed your mind about giving me that door code yet?
Certainly not. Give me a single reason why I should.
Okay, Lane, I will.
So
I hate to say this, Mr. Lane, but you're going to be the #1 suspect for this murder.
So you keep saying, Mr. Stobart.
Well, you got to admit, the cut wire doesn't look good for you.
As I said, this is a preposterous allegation.
How about some more of this?
I don't think so. As a sal volatile, it was acceptable. As a cologne, it would be barbaric.
Are these your nail clippers, Mr. Lane?
Yes, they have my initials monogrammed on them.
Huh. The perfect implement for cutting the alarm on a stolen painting.
What are you saying?
Well, the alarm was sabotaged, Mr. Lane. It was an inside job.
Are you accusing me? How dare you? I had no reason to kill Henri, no motive whatsoever.
Okay, but I don't think the cops will see it like that. And I sure would like that door code. Mr. Lane, this robbery is not going to reflect well on you.
As I said, I shall take my chances. You're not getting that door code.
So, you'd been out of town and hit the sack early last night?
That's right. I've not been near the gallery for days.
So we're really not getting anything out of him at all, are we? In terms of any sort of progress with getting this door code. So we clearly need to do something else. Let's have a look at this label underneath the painting.
The stolen painting was called La Malediccio, painted by someone called L. Serp in 1937, and worth just 40 grand. The stolen painting was worth less than the others. So why did the thief target it?
Have another quick look at this. There is a number here on the security device, but I don't think it's really relevant to the door. It says 1212. Let's just go and have a look at the door.
Figure out the code to that keypad.
Okay. We're missing something. What is it? Let's go out the door here. Can we do that? Yes, we can. Okay.
The street was quiet and upmarket. Not the kind of place for an opportunist thief.
So, we need to get the code from Lane. We're out on the street currently, and there are some options for us to be able to look at some other stuff and do a bit more. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to end the video there because we're running on to nearly 40, getting towards 45 minutes for this first installment of this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching. I wanted to get this series started because I'd made a promise and I said I was going to do it, and I don't like broken promises, and I'm sorry it's late, but thanks for watching, and we're going to come back with this hopefully sooner rather than later. I do have more time on my hands these days, so hopefully now we've got this first one out of the way, we'll get a bit of momentum and we'll go from there. But we're out on the street currently. We do have some different options to go and explore some other areas, but we'll get into those on the next video. So in the meantime, thanks for watching. I hope this was entertaining, particularly for one person who I promised that I would do this for, and lots of love to you. And in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.